I don't care. No, not a big deal.
Not a big deal. No.
No, I mean, obviously you want the ice to be good. You'd like the ice quality to be good. The size of it doesn't matter.
Silence broke, and the hockey world stopped listening to the noise. Then Connor McDavid spoke, and everything shifted. One short sentence cut through weeks of Olympic drama and made fans stop scrolling. It didn't calm the situation. It made it bigger. Because behind those words is a decision that could change who even steps on the ice in Milan. Connor McDavid addressed Olympic ice concerns during media availability and delivered a response that quickly became central to hockey coverage. As discussions intensified around the size of the ice surface planned for the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan, McDavid made his position clear. He said the rink dimensions were not something he was worried about. "I don't care. Not a big deal," McDavid said, according to Sportsnet. His statement stood out as league officials and analysts continued to debate the issue. The Olympic hockey venue in Milan will not use a standard NHL rink. NHL ice surfaces measure 200 feet long and 85 feet wide. Olympic organizers confirmed the Milan rink will be approximately 196.85 feet long and 85.3 feet wide. The difference places the rink more than 3 feet shorter than NHL ice. While the change may appear small, it has driven significant discussion across the league because of how space affects speed and play style. McDavid's comments came as the NHL prepared for its return to Olympic competition for the first time since 2014. The league and the NHL Players Association have emphasized that participation depends on safety standards being met. NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley said the league would not allow players to compete if the ice surface were deemed unsafe. He stated that player safety would determine final approval, not scheduling pressure. Attention has also focused on the readiness of the Santa Giulia Ice Hockey Arena in Milan. Reports confirmed that construction has faced delays, leaving limited time to install and test the ice. Local organizers said the venue would be completed before the games and confirmed that a test event is scheduled for January. That event will allow officials to evaluate ice conditions under game situations. McDavid said ice quality mattered more than exact size. His focus aligned with comments from the NHL Players Association, which stated that consistency, hardness, and durability of the ice were key concerns. The association said these factors affect safety and performance more than rink length. Team Canada assistant coach Pete DeBoer confirmed the rink would be smaller than NHL ice and acknowledged the difference was unexpected. Olympic and IIHF officials responded by stating the rink falls within international standards and meets competition requirements. While McDavid's remarks downplayed the size issue, league officials have not shifted their position. The NHL continues to monitor construction progress and test results. With the Olympic schedule approaching, scrutiny remains intense, and the final decision still depends on what happens next. The league's concern extends beyond measurements on paper. Officials have repeatedly stated that ice quality will determine whether NHL players participate in the Milan games. According to Reuters, NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley confirmed that if the ice is not considered safe, NHL players will not be released for Olympic competition. That position has not changed, even as organizers continue to provide reassurances. Local organizers in Italy responded to the growing attention by stating that international ice experts are involved in the preparation process. They said the rink will be completed in time and tested before Olympic play begins. Organizers also confirmed that the ice will be installed and evaluated well ahead of the tournament, with feedback expected from players and officials during the January test event. The results of those tests are expected to carry significant weight. The International Ice Hockey Federation stated that the Milan rink meets international guidelines. IIHF standards allow flexibility in rink dimensions, and officials confirmed the surface fits within those limits. Olympic representatives echoed that statement and said the size difference would not require changes to competition rules or officiating standards. Despite those assurances, questions remain inside league circles. The Santa Julia Arena timeline has drawn attention because the venue is scheduled to be finished close to the start of Olympic preparations. Hockey officials have emphasized that installing ice is not a simple process. Temperature control, humidity management, and repeated resurfacing are required before the surface reaches game condition. McDavid's remarks shifted part of the public focus away from the size debate. His response contrasted with the caution expressed by league leadership. While he dismissed the dimensions as a concern, he did not address the construction timeline or testing process. His comments highlighted a difference in perspective between players preparing to compete and officials responsible for risk management. NHL players last participated in Olympic hockey in 2014. The return in 2026 has been framed as a major moment for the league and international competition. Ticket demand for the Games has already been strong, according to the International Olympic Committee, adding pressure to finalize all venue details. The January test event is expected to provide critical information. Officials plan to evaluate how the ice holds up during repeated games and extended use. Those findings will shape final decisions on player participation and readiness. As attention remains fixed on Milan, the issue has narrowed. The question is no longer only about the length of the rink. It is about timing, safety, and whether preparation matches the expectations placed on the world's best players before the first puck is dropped.
I think it stems from the whole thing. We're not good enough with the puck. And, it's leading to sustained, time in our D zone. It's the whole thing, we're not getting up the ice, not forechecking pucks back.
Connor McDavid walked off the ice with a look fans almost never see. His stare was sharp, his steps slow, and the weight of the night sat heavy on him. The latest collapse didn't just hit the scoreboard, it hit the entire team. And when he finally spoke, his words sent the arena into silence, leaving everything hanging on what comes next. The latest loss hit Edmonton fast. The final score read 8-3 after Dallas scored 4 times in the first period. 7 Dallas players finished the night with 2 points. The Oilers pulled their starting goalie, Stuart Skinner, after he allowed 4 goals on 8 shots. Backup Calvin Pickard faced 22 shots and allowed 4 more goals. The team record moved to 10-10-5, and that added even more pressure.
I really feel like goaltending is a team thing. Tough for goalies to look good when the group in front of them is not playing well. I don't really care who it is. When the team in front of them is not playing up to their standards, then tough for a goalie to look good. Felt bad for both of them tonight.
When the game ended, Connor McDavid spoke to reporters. His voice was steady, but his face looked worn. He did not blame the goalies for the loss. He said, "I really feel like goaltending is a team thing. I don't care who it is. When the team in front of them isn't playing up to their standards, it's tough for a goalie to look good. I felt bad for both of them tonight." His words held weight because both goalies had already taken heavy criticism online. McDavid also stood with Leon Draisaitl. Both players said the defensive issues were bigger than one position. The team had faced similar problems in other games. A few weeks earlier, Edmonton allowed 9 goals in another blowout. Fans hoped that game had been a turning point, but the loss to Dallas showed the problems were still there. Inside the locker room, the mood stayed tense. Players knew fans were watching their reactions. The team's leaders understood what the loss meant. It was not just the score. It was the way the team played, the way chances were given up, and the growing feeling that mistakes kept repeating. As the night ended, Edmonton faced more pressure than before, and the questions around the roster got louder. And even with McDavid defending his teammates, the sense inside the building did not calm down. It only made the next steps more important, because nothing about this loss felt normal. The tension inside the Oilers' room did not fade after the cameras shut off. Players walked out slow. The loss felt heavy because the problems were not new. The defensive zone broke down early. Passes missed. Coverage slipped. Dallas attacked the middle of the ice with little resistance. Each mistake pushed the team deeper into trouble, and every shift showed how fast the momentum had slipped away. The pressure on the leadership group increased. McDavid's tone, steady but tired, made that clear. He had defended the goalies, but the message pointed at the whole roster. The issues came from structure, support, and effort. The coaching staff repeated the same view. They said the breakdowns hit every line on the ice. That added more urgency because these problems had been seen before. Dallas used the gaps to score at a high pace. Jamie Benn reached a major career mark during the game when he recorded his 400th NHL goal. The Stars kept control from the opening minutes. Their passing was sharp, and the Oilers could not slow their rush plays. Shots against piled up fast. The bench stayed quiet as the scoreboard kept rising. The Oilers had talked about turning the season around after earlier losses. The players said they needed tighter defense and faster reactions. But when the team allowed 4 goals on 8 shots, the concern deepened. The numbers from this game showed the same pattern from the past. The team had strong offensive talent, but the breakdowns behind them were costing games. Inside the locker room, a few players stayed long after the media left. Coaches reviewed plays with staff. Reporters noted how the mood stayed flat and serious. McDavid's earlier comment about feeling bad for both goalies stayed at the center of conversation. It pointed to a team trying to protect its own players from blame while still facing the facts of the night. Fans reacted fast after the game. Many pointed to the defensive support. Others mentioned the goalie statistics and how the team had been outplayed across long stretches. The energy online reflected the same scene that played out in the arena, a sense that the team was reaching a critical moment in its season. And as players left the building, the tension followed them out. The questions surrounding the team did not slow down. They only grew stronger because the Oilers knew the next game would carry even more weight than this one.
Yeah, very happy with David's play. You know, it's tough not coming into games when you haven't played for a while, and really we haven't had any practice time either. He's been on the ice doing some skills and some skating to keep his conditioning up, but not to have that game like atmosphere for him.
Chris Knoblauch broke the silence. Everything looked normal from the outside, but inside the Oilers' locker room, a truth was building pressure. It stayed hidden behind highlight reels, post-game smiles, and the 2 players who carried almost everything. His words cut through the noise, exposed what the team tried to keep quiet, and pushed a deeper issue into full view. And the fallout is only beginning. Chris Knoblauch's message did not arrive through rumors or leaks. It came from his own voice, recorded and published through NHL.com and repeated again during the post-game press conference. His words cut straight into the core of the Edmonton Oilers season. The team stands at 9-9-4. The record places them in the middle of the Pacific Division, and the numbers show a pattern that has repeated week after week. Connor McDavid has 32 points through the first 22 games, with 9 goals and 23 assists. Leon Draisaitl has 26 points, with 14 goals and 12 assists. Together, they have built 58 points. The team has 181 total, meaning the 2 players carry roughly 33% of the entire offensive output. This distribution is factual. It reflects what has been visible on the ice for years. But Knoblauch's message made it clear the coaching staff sees it the same way the public does. He said, "We need to have secondary scoring. We can't rely on Connor and Leon or whoever's playing with them. We need some bottom 6 contributions." The remark exposed what the Oilers have attempted to downplay. They have asked the top line to carry the majority of the load, and the numbers confirm it. The coach delivered the message after another night that began with 2 goals against in the first 6 minutes. He said the team pushed back, stating, "I like the energy. They feel like any game they have a chance to win." But he also pointed to sharp defensive lapses, the commitment to protecting the dangerous ice, he said, describing how players drifted out of position on the first goal. Knoblauch also highlighted David Tomasic, who moved from the press box into the lineup and scored off a strong forecheck. He noted the challenge of playing without regular game reps, saying the forward had mostly been doing skills and conditioning skate, not full practices. Yet he added, "Nice to see him rewarded with a goal." It became the clearest example of the depth scoring he said the roster needs. He repeated that more of this is required, especially while playing shorthand. Chris Knoblauch expanded his message by pointing directly at the moments that cost Edmonton control. He described a repeating cycle in recent games. The Oilers scored and the opponent answered almost immediately. He said, "It's very disappointing because you dig a hole and you fight to get back into it, and then you are in that hole again." His statement reflected a pattern shown across several matchups this season. Early deficits forced the team to climb back, and sudden reply goals erased progress as soon as it appeared. The Belavip report described this same issue as a long-term trend. It noted that Edmonton's offense has been one-dimensional for years, with the two stars serving as the central answer every night. The Oilers reached the Stanley Cup final in back-to-back seasons, but the article pointed to the same imbalance during those runs. The team did not produce the depth scoring needed to support a full playoff push. Knoblauch's remarks connected directly to that history. He repeated another key detail when asked about defense. He said the team must play good, solid defensive hockey. He linked this requirement to every line, not only to the top scorers. He clarified that scoring help is important, but defensive structure is equally necessary. He gave the example of the first goal against, where players lost position inside the defensive zone. The footage showed open ice in front of the net, and Knoblauch confirmed this in his comments. The message from the article and the press conference lined up at every point. Edmonton needs more than two players driving the offense. The team must protect high-danger areas more consistent. The bottom six forwards must produce in both scoring and defensive roles. McDavid and Draisaitl continue to deliver high numbers, but the distribution across the rest of the lineup remains uneven. Knoblauch's remarks made that fact public.
And I think last night is the kind of accumulation of a lot of different things, and last night's a great warning to the group what happens when you're not ready to roll.
Connor McDavid drops a bombshell on Coach Knoblauch, and the shock in that room was instant. Reporters called it a truth bomb, and the room shifted fast, which set the tone for everything that came next. That message did
up and not playing very well. So there are a lot of not looking like a very cohesive team right now, just not playing very well, and that's on the coaching staff, mostly myself, to get that
came
aligned.
Next. That message didn't appear out of nowhere. The Oilers had been stuck in a stretch where they went 4-4-2 in their last 10 games, and Knoblauch had already said, "We're not playing our best hockey." That quote came on November 2nd. It added weight to the new comments because it showed the coach had been pushing the team for weeks, and now his pressure had reached the captain. That built even more curiosity around how this moment would change their dynamic. Knoblauch also said something important after the November 5th shootout loss to Dallas. He stated, "Leon and Connor were two of our better players. We just need to get more out of everyone." That line made it clear he saw the top stars carrying too much of the load. When his new message on November 11th surfaced, people wondered if his patience with the whole team had run out, or if he was now turning that pressure tighter onto McDavid himself. This shift created more questions about how the captain would receive the target placed on him. The timing carried even more weight because McDavid had made a strong statement months earlier. After the Oilers lost the Stanley Cup final in June 2025, he said, "We kept expletive, trying the same thing over and over again, banging our heads against the wall." That quote showed he already had issues with how the team operated. So when Knoblauch fired his new message at him in November, it added a layer of tension that didn't feel new, raising curiosity about what was brewing inside the team long before this night. The Oilers have not won the Stanley Cup since 1990, and each season brings more pressure. When a coach and captain exchange sharp comments only months apart, the spotlight gets even brighter. With Knoblauch calling out the team and McDavid voicing his frustrations earlier in the year, this November moment felt like something bigger starting to crack open, leaving many wondering how far this tension would grow next. The reaction inside the team did not slow down after that night. Reporters said the coach's message toward McDavid was direct enough to make players look around the room. Some felt the comment pointed at leadership, others felt it pointed at effort. But no matter how it was read, the message placed new weight on McDavid right after the win. That made people wonder what the next move inside the locker room would be. The next part of the story connected back to Knoblauch's earlier pressure on the roster, when he said, "We're not playing our best hockey." It sounded like the coach wanted stronger direction from the top. This created a new curiosity. Was Knoblauch now expecting McDavid to carry more than his play, or was he pushing him because the team had stalled? McDavid's past comments from June 2025 also sat in the background of this moment. His words after the Stanley Cup final, "We kept expletive, trying the same thing over and over again," pointed to problems he saw in the system. So when Knoblauch fired his new message months later, it almost looked like both sides were responding to the same long-running issue. The Oilers' long Stanley Cup drought made the whole situation heavier. Every year the team gets closer or falls short. The demand for results grows. When both the captain and the coach deliver sharp comments within months of each other, it adds more stress to a group already squeezing for answers. That pressure creates more curiosity about how the Oilers will hold together as the season continues, and whether the tension between McDavid and Knoblauch will push the team forward or pull it apart next.
And I think last night is the kind of accumulation of a lot of different things, and last night's a great warning to the group what happens when you're not ready to roll.